No, you don't.
No.
I'm sure you don't. You bring it up here, it gets answered here. That is how the think tank works. We have to continue to give good, real information. To not give the good, real information will defeat the purpose of having a channel. In the community that we have, it has to be the information has to be given.
Okay, we're side by side.
That's awesome. I guess that means we're live. And we have a minute or two left. What is that? Is that, oh, my daughter playing with my stuff. Charger for my battery, for my camera. All right. And we're going to get ready to talk live to the world. We have 2 minutes. And since we have 2 minutes, let me set this thing up because I didn't set it up yet. I do believe that if you had asked me while Biden was in office to go after Epstein, I would have looked at you. Huh.
Well, they agreed to open the government. That's what just happened. Breaking news.
Oh, they passed the vote. Yeah, them 10 Democrats was going to go for that. I would think, which is going to not. It's all a joke. We'll be back in the same position in 3 months. I wonder if that means
Yes, because of the Democrats. That's smart with those
no, because the Republicans agreed to something that was a temporary thing rather than a permanent fix. They didn't really agree to anything. They just agreed to vote for something in December, which was the Affordable Care Act. But the truth of the matter is, they still, even if it passes the Senate and they stick to their word, it still has to go back to the House, and Trump has to sign it into law. And Trump already said what he wants to do with healthcare.
yes. What did he say he wanted to do about healthcare, Leo?
We're going to wait until he said he wanted to destroy the American population,
No, no,
but
no,
that's not
no.
something you understand.
Yeah,
I will
he
break
didn't
it
say
down in this
that.
episode.
It's always what Trump said that he did
I
not.
will break it down in this episode. We're going to wait. I will break it down. I want to make it so that it's plain English, even though I'm not an expert. Um, we do have to talk about it because that's where we're at. I'm sure you have your opinions on it, which is nice. I have my opinions, and then I'm going to drop a couple of nasty little facts that helped me to formulate said opinions. Stuff I did not know till recently. That I'm sure you'll find a way to, what is the word you like to use? Obfuscate?
Confiscate. Yes, that's the vocabulary word. Mm.
You do realize that obfuscation on your behalf is a bad thing, right?
On
Like
me?
that's not good. You do understand that.
Right. But sometimes you gotta be guilty by omission.
So you do realize that all you're saying when you're saying you want to obfuscate is that you're just trying to confuse people. You do understand that's what that means. That's the definition of the word to confuse. You do understand that, right? Like it boggles me that you understand that's the meaning of the word.
To confuse, obfuscate. I think you got to share the screen with that one.
You didn't know that was the meaning of the word, seriously?
Let's see. Yes, go ahead. Let's confuse. If you think that obfuscate means to confuse, then I think you should share the screen. Let's look at it together. The definition.
Maybe I'm wrong. It has been a few decades since I used to read the dictionary and memorize words. I could be incorrect. So, okay. Hmm. This is going a long way around saying it, but even though it goes a long way around it, it says the same thing. Well, I'm sorry, I'm on my old computer. The new one crashed. I got to send it back. They're giving me the runaround.
Oh, you didn't do it again? Oh, okay. Yeah, because you were kind of freezing up there.
Sure of it. I'm on my old computer. You can't imagine how freaking unhappy I am about that situation. And oh man, this is crazy. Render obscure, unclear, or unintelligible. Obfuscate. The spelling changes will deform some familiar words and obfuscate their etymological origins, what their meaning is. It will what what does obfuscating the truth mean? Obfuscates. Some people are experts at obfuscating the truth by being evasive, unclear, or obscure in the telling of the facts. The people who are good at obfuscating would include defense lawyers and teenagers asked about their plans for Saturday night. What is a synonym for obfuscation? Confusing, complicating, and making unclear. Good enough? We good?
Welcome to the think tank, where we take everything big and small for you.
Yes, welcome to the think tank, where we use critical thinking, deductive reasoning, just a pinch of common sense to draw unbiased and logical conclusions. Where, in order to be able to understand clearly messages, you have to understand words. Etymology is tracing the root of words. You have to understand words. You cannot draw logical conclusions based off of obscure or obfuscated obscure words. You need clear, precise definitions in order to come to clear, precise understandings. If you do not have clear and precise, then everything is obfuscated, it's confusing. So the definitions of words is important. Words matter. On today's episode, we're going to discuss a few things. And we're going to dive right in as we burnt a few minutes up and we have a lot to talk about. One thing that's not going to be obfuscated here is the government is now back open. Dion, would you like to talk about that?
Well, seems as though they've come to an agreement, and the Democrats had to concede a few things, Republicans got a few things, and that's the way politics work. Unfortunately, the American people had to suffer. And if you're watching things clearly, like we said off screen before, that there's always a timetable for this kind of give and take happen again. Because remember, every season around this time, there's a government shutdown. So what can we do?
That is absolutely not true. How many shutdowns have we had in history?
Oh, I don't know. There's quite a few.
Quick question. I'm going to just do it on my phone. You'll take my word for it, or do I have to do it the other way? You'll take my word for it? That's very kind of you. How many government shutdowns have there been in U.S. history? It did not give me a 35-day past the 21st day shutdown from 95, 96. It did not give me a clear answer. It gives me a chart. Okay. This is unremarkable. You would think it would have been clear. There's not been, in the last 10 to 15 years, there's been quite a few shutdowns. Prior to that, shutdowns were actually something that did not happen quite often. As a matter of fact, in the early years, it was rather, it didn't happen often. It began to happen more and more as time spun after during the Obama era. And it came to a peak at Trump, where the last time he was in office, we had the longest shutdown in American history over the border wall. And now we're having we had an even longer one, historically long government shutdown over the Affordable Care Act. Now, I'm sure you have some stuff you want to talk about with the Affordable Care Act.
Sorry about that. I had some noisy neighbors. Yes, I want to say about the subsidy extensions and how, strategically the Democrats created the Affordable Care Act for the subsidies and the actual expiration dates, and that they usually expire and with the government shutdowns around the same time, election season. So this is time for people to be heroes or anti-heroes or villains. Keep that in mind before,
Before
you vote. Uh,
uh
think before you vote. That was on a program called Think Before You Vote. So it's like a little carrot they dang in front of the masses, these Democrats, these subsidies. If the Affordable Care Act were actually intended to work, other than making health insurance companies lots of money, then we wouldn't have to have these extensions or, these subsidies. So basically, we're subsidizing the medical insurance companies with our taxpayer dollars to provide what people would like to be affordable. And that's what often happens under the guise of affordability. Ready,
the
Leo?
guise of affordability.
That's what I said.
Yes, that is something else that we really need to discuss. So let's go through a little bit of this. Let's start with the guise of affordability. What do you mean by that? Trump has said that affordability is a scam. The fact he thinks the fact that people should be able to afford to live is a scam. I'm going to say that again. Some things bear repetition.
Okay.
The leader of this country believes that the thought process of people being able to afford to live is a scam. That we should not expect to be able to afford a roof over our head and food on the table and to try and maybe put a little money in the bank in our savings accounts. He thinks that thinking that way is a scam, a Democrat hoax. And I heard you just say something very similar. So are you saying that you think that in the richest country in the history of the world, that people should not be able to afford to live? Because that's the definition of affordability, unless you want to say affordability is not about being able to afford stuff.
Well, I'm saying affordability is an illusion created by the Democrats, and this Affordable Care Act is a prime example of that. People are getting access to health insurance and being penalized for not having health insurance and have to pay a fine. But the health insurance is paid by taxpayer dollars to the health insurance companies to make it more affordable. So now you have affordability. However, during the COVID lockdowns, they extended it and opened it more so, and more people were on it with more other areas that they give them access. But the people that are gaming the system, making a lot of money, or like my health insurance company, Molina, Health Plus, all these guys are making out like bandits from our tax dollars for Affordable Care Act that's not sustainable. As you can see with the government shutdown, these things strategically or during election time are held onto as leverage of us, and we the people suffer. And that's what the Democrats did. No, yes, maybe.
I just wanted to let you finish. Because, what? All right. So, there was an extension requested on the subsidies that helped to make the Affordable Care Act a bargain for the American citizen. Donald Trump sent $40 billion to Argentina. Donald Trump gave trillions of dollars of cuts to the wealthiest people on the planet here in the US. But he wants to cut healthcare. What does he wants to take healthcare away and give people
He
cash
wants
to
to
buy their
give
own
their health
healthcare?
insurance money that goes to these insurance companies directly to each individual citizen of a certain income. And that's it. And they decide. It's kind of like school choice. We're going to take this education money, this $30,000 that goes to your child, to the school. We're going to give it to the parent, and they have to earmark it to what kind of school education system it goes to for that child. So
There's
it's a
only a couple of little minor problems with it. What's the first one? Let me think. Oh, is it that the Affordable Care Act made it illegal for companies to not provide insurance for people with underlying health conditions? What might an example of an underlying health condition be? It could be something simple, like, I don't know if you want to call it simple, but we'll go for, in comparison to some of the more severe things, we'll call it simple. Diabetes, which I lost a parent to, or high blood pressure, or it could be more serious, heart conditions, cancer. The Affordable Care Act made it illegal to deny people that would die of these things health care, and that saves God knows how many lives. You take away the Affordable Care Act, and now there is no law saying that the people that are most vulnerable, people that have underlying health conditions, let's make that plain. Underlying health conditions is such a big term. And I know MAGA doesn't like big words. People that are sick can get health care. The Affordable Care Act makes it so that people that are sick can get health care. Full stop. So, under Trump's plan, which is, I guess, going to be the Republican Hill, they're marching up, rifles uncocked, ready to drop. I guess what their big plan is to take away the protection that sick people have, give them a few dollars, and then and eventually everybody gets sick. Listen, here's the thing, right? There's only one thing promised to you in life, and that's that it will end. And taxes, some people say. But you can be a hobo your entire life and never pay taxes. You're not going to escape death. You're going to get sick. Everybody gets sick at some point in their life. I guess maybe if you're, you know, a baby caught in some tragedy, you never had a chance to be sick. But I would say that the vast majority of people are going to get sick at some point in their life. And under the Trump plan, when that happens, you have a few $1,000s, and once that's burnt up, no healthcare provider will pick you up, and you die in the street. Now, I would like you to present an alternative where, he gives this cash, there's no Affordable Care Act. What happens when people inevitably become ill?
Well, so far, the president's plan on the surface was to direct all funds to individuals, and they get to choose what health insurance providers they have and also who they can get services from. So then it would be up to the medical provider to accept or not. So instead of just giving the money to a blanket, and then all these big insurance companies benefits, the individual has more autonomy. So that would be on the provider, I believe, on the surface, because this is just a new concept the president's coming out with to answer this Affordable Care Act problem that we're having, where we have to continually keep putting money into it, where only the health insurance companies benefit and the providers suffer and the people suffer too. So
So, his plan is that the people who need it the most, people with underlying conditions, again, for those of y'all who are MAGA, people that are sick, won't be able to get health insurance, or if you're healthy and you're fine for 20 years and
That's
then you
not
get
true.
sick, it's 100% true. That's what the Affordable Care Act does. It means that part of that law,
But we're not talking
it
about that. We're talking about Trump's plan. Trump's
Trump's
plan
plan
is
takes
to
that
get
away,
the
and
vax
once that's
and make
taken
sure.
away, Trump's plan takes that away, and once that's taken away, health providers do not have to provide health care to people with underlying health conditions. In other words, they don't have to give you insurance if you're sick. So then, if you're sick, you got to pay out of pocket, and that is
Well, if I can speak, Trump's plan is to actually give that person the power to pay the healthcare provider directly from being directly sourced from the health insurance from the government. Because so far, our tax dollars go into the health insurance companies. Understand? So now that person has more power. Even if he does preconditions, it doesn't matter because they're controlling the insurance money themselves. Understand?
what you
From
don't
on the
seem to
surface.
comprehend,
Good.
what you don't seem to get is that the insurance companies will then have the option to reject you. If you're sick, if you have high blood pressure, they can say, we're not going to take you, and you just can't get insurance. So what? You got a couple of $1,000s from the government. If you can't get insurance, what good is that?
Well, we don't know the full
You
scope of
don't
the
know.
plan. That we don't know the full scope of the president's plan. All we're doing is arguing for something that doesn't work, but only benefits health insurance companies and makes them a lot of money. That's it.
Well, I'm glad that part of keeping the government open is extending the Affordable Care Act until a plan can be put in place. But it's only extended for 3 months, and then the budget ends, and then they go to do this dance again. In order for that to work, in order for it to continue to be extended, because they said let's extend it for a year and have a real discussion, and Trump turned it down out of hand. MAGA turned it down out of hand. Chuck Schumer said, let's have a real discussion. Let's do this for a year and then talk. We have time to talk for a year. We can come up with a plan together. And Trump's Republicans said no.
Yeah, because
Open the
he's trying to.
government up. That's what happened
Yeah, but
Friday.
the thing is, Chuck Schumer's trying to stall for time into the midterms to make sure the Democrats look like the superhero to save the day as always. That's what he's trying to do.
So if that's the case, you're saying that the Republicans weren't going to be able to work with them to come up with a plan?
They would be, but right
So
now,
then what's the problem? I
the,
don't understand.
the problem was they did not want to keep these subsidies going indefinitely because subsidies were supposed to be temporary because of the COVID lockdown. Seems though the COVID crisis is over, allegedly, you don't need to have subsidies. But the problem with the government is when you give the public something for free, it's hard to get them off that one thing that you give them for free from
Like the
public.
tax breaks for the rich?
Maybe.
So if Donald Trump has trillions of dollars pouring in from tariffs, which have just been deemed illegal by the Supreme Court, including Trump placed Supreme Court justices,
Okay.
but that's for later in the show. If the tariffs are brought in trillions of dollars, couldn't a portion of that money go to healthcare? Since there's so much money that he's bringing in, why let people suffer and be sick while we figure this out? Since there's so much money.
Well, again, which how can I say this? They're going to vote to open the government and they're going to vote for this Affordable Care Act and its subsidies. But once that goes through, the president's going to put probably an executive order out there to try to switch the whole system. And they have to go back to the drawing board eventually and vote on it. He said he wanted to do that before in his first administration. But again, Chuck Schumer and at then time Nancy Pelosi, and they stopped him.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Thankfully, the government's back open, but I still want to understand why. Why did Trump fight to continue starving
No, no,
hungry
no, no,
kids?
no, 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 no. This had nothing to do with Trump. This was a battle in the Senate. Trump had nothing to do
Snap. I'm
with it.
talking about Snap. Why
Oh,
did he? Why
why?
did he? work so hard to continue to make kids hungry?
No, well, that's not true. You're framing the question in such a way. The point is this:
Okay, so what in your
the
opinion?
government to
Oh no, wait. It, so let me ask the question a different way if you're not liking the way the question is framed. Why, when two federal judges said it is the law for you to use this earmarked money, this money that's specifically here for a reason, to fund the SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Program, EBT food stamps. Why is it that Trump said at first he would do it and then said he would appeal it? And JD Vance started dancing around saying Just Dance Vance started dancing around saying, you know what? We're not going to let federal judges tell us what to do, which is the Constitution snapping because, co-equal branch of the government and all that. What
okay.
is a constitutional crisis? I'm sorry, that's not relevant to this.
Well, the thing about
It
it is
is, but
the Trump legal team and the administration, they understand that these circuit court judges on the federal level are not, they can't order them to do anything that breaks the law. And so right now, that's exactly what he's going to do. He's looking at legality, and now since the government's opening anyway, that emergency fund can stay where it is for an emergency.
I think that 6 million children without food's an emergency, but I guess me and you have different definitions of the
They have
word.
food. They just don't, their parents or whoever has the EBT or the SNAP benefits, they didn't get the payout. The money's there. Certain states, like New York, for example, there's a state of emergency. So the governor used her powers to pay out. But the president's like, no, don't do that. We don't know what that would do to the federal SNAP program if states individually took it under their purview to pay out. So we'll see what happens.
Why, if the money is there, would Donald Trump go out of his way to prevent people in need of getting food?
Well,
And that's what he's doing, right? Can we agree on that?
Well, again, the government is shut down, and this is emergency money for an emergency. That's it.
6 million kids not getting food is not an emergency.
Well, if he did it this one time, if the
He
government,
did it last time.
well, guess what?
Last time he used the same fund. So why is it that he's not doing it? Why was it an emergency last time and not an emergency this time? In 2019, this money was used.
I don't know is the answer at this point. That's about
No,
it.
there's not a correct answer. He was starving children on purpose, trying to get what he wanted. And
No, he's
the
not
fact that
starving
the fact that he
children.
used the funds last time and denied these children funds this time, like, I mean, he was fighting tooth and nail. Two judges said it. He went to appeal it. He went all the way to the Supreme Court to fight 6 million children getting food. There's no good answer for that. None. That's why you can't find one. It doesn't exist.
Well, guess what? It wasn't just children. There are other people in need of food stamps besides
Right. There's
children.
14.
So the
This
way you frame the question controls the narrative, and
okay.
that's not true.
No, it is true. No, 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 no. It is true. There's 14 million people, I think, but 6 million of them are children. So to say 14 million people and 6 million kids, I can do it that way. Yeah, I can make it worse. I just said the kids because that was enough to get the point. 6 million kids without food. Do I got to include the adults, the elderly, the veterans? You want me to add all of them in? Does that make you feel better? Because I can.
Long story short, the governor shall be open. People are going to get their benefits, and we'll see what the Democrats do for the midterms to scare people silly and blame Donald Trump.
Okay. So he didn't want to give food to people. Well, all this money from tariffs is pouring in. 6 million kids get starved. None of that bothers him. But he does have money to give every single American that falls under a certain amount of income $2,000 dividend checks. Is the man lying out the side of his face again?
Well, he said it's coming from the tariffs, so why not? You asked all this time about the tariffs, where the money's going, and how much money he's raised. Well, looks like he's found something for you, Leo.
Is this going to be like the Doge checks?
We shall see.
I can guarantee you, beyond a shadow of any doubt, that that money's not there. Why? Because I can count. And the money that was raised is being fought in court so that not the other countries, but the companies, the American companies that had to pay the tariffs can get the money back. Because foreign countries don't pay tariffs. A tariff's a tax on the people. And in court right now, he's losing a battle to have to pay the companies that paid the tariffs back. Did you know that?
Yes, we talked about that on the previous episode.
Oh, okay. So then all of the money he raised that he's going to give all his money, $2,000 to everybody, that first of all that money he said wasn't there because it's impossible because, math, oh gosh, words and math. I know it's a lot. It's all in one subject. It's MAGA and words and math. But even if you take out the math and just do it the simple way, if the companies get the money back, then there's no tariff money. So how's he tending to give $2,000 to every single individual if the money's not there? First of all, the money being sued to get back, not nearly trillions of dollars. It's not there. The money's not there. Thank you, gaming. We're trying.
Oh yeah, we chat.
Yeah, I'm keeping up. Well, let's move forward. Because what is this? Rick Scott of Columbia is going to be the one in charge of this healthcare situation. Do you know who Rick Scott is?
Senator, you said from Columbia?
Senator Rick Scott.
Right.
Well, he was the person that ran Columbia HCA.
Okay.
Well, you might have. Let me maybe I can refresh your memory.
Please do.
Columbia HCA under his lead was sued for the biggest healthcare fraud in the history of the U.S., where they had to pay back trillions of dollars. One of Trump's people. This is not a surprise to most of us. And he committed the largest healthcare fraud to the same people that Trump is talking about cutting out in the history of the country. That's who Rick Scott is, who's running the show for this healthcare scheme. So is this somebody you want to trust?
Let me just see
Rick
the date on this. I want to see the
Scott.
I want to see the date of this actually. Let's see. All right, 2014. Let's see. Uh,
And he's been a senator since 2019.
all right. And when was the Affordable Care Act created?
What does that have to do with his fraud?
Because I want to know if um,
He commits fraud and you're going to try and put it on. He commits fraud with
okay.
his
Okay,
company.
here we go. Here, just like I thought. He was able to do that because the Affordable Care Act existed. If there
Oh,
was
so let
no
me get this
Affordable
right. So
Care,
you're saying that he should it's okay that he committed this fraud because he did it using the Affordable Care Act?
no, I'm saying this is why we need an overhaul of the Affordable Care Act because there's a lot of what? Doge, waste, fraud, and spending of the taxpayer dollars to
So
help
the
with
person that you want to be in charge of fixing this fraud is the person that committed the largest fraud in the history of healthcare.
it looks that way, unfortunately.
Are you surprised about this with Trump? As a
No,
MAGA
no,
person,
I'm
does this
not. No,
surprise
I'm
you
not. No, the answer is no, I'm not surprised. You don't even finish the question. No, I'm not surprised of Trump being Trump.
of having fraudulent people work inside the systems they know how to commit fraud in the best? Yeah, you can't be surprised. It's definitely Trump being Trump. Do you think that this might lead to some sort of fraud?
I don't know. Maybe the guy learned his lesson the first time. So,
Or maybe he's working with a 34-time felon and he's been placed in a
here
position
we
where he can do the
go.
most damage?
Here we go.
I mean, you're talking about two criminals working together and saying that, trust me. Are you for real? You're talking about criminals coming together, banding together like the Justice League. What was it? What was the people led by Lex Luthor and like the
The
bad
Legion
guys,
of
the bad
Doom, the
team?
Legion of Doom, the Sinister
Yes, thank
Six.
you. The Legion of Doom with Darth Vader at the helm. Like he literally calls the guy Darth Vader. He's right in our face with it. He calls the guy Darth Vader as he's coming through destroying systems and wreaking havoc and taking away jobs. He calls him Darth Vader. This is his ministry of evil. And you don't think this is going to be fraud? And you think that all of these criminals are going to come together and do good? Is that really what you think?
Well, again, the government is back open. We have to revisit the Affordable Care and its subsidies.
Huh.
We got to see what happens because now Trump is going to take a more intimate approach to this with himself and his executive orders and his czars of such. So
What do you think about our economy and where it stands now?
right now, like I told you before, I just had a Zoom with my whole family arguing this. I think this is growing pains for something better to come right now. But if the president can deliver with using this tariff money to pay dividends to every American citizen below a certain income, then he delivered, and we shall see it stimulate like the stimulus checks that we had. Remember that?
Let me ask you a question because I'm really confused about this.
That's what
Why do you believe this guy?
why do I believe this guy? I didn't say I really did, but yes, so far it makes sense what he's doing. We haven't seen the results because they're not instantaneous, but so
How
far,
does it make sense? How does pulling together a bunch of criminals to take charge of all of the money make sense? How does that make sense?
no. You said economy. Again, the money that he says using from the tariffs to give us subsidies to the American people, that makes sense. And we'll see if that helps stimulate the economy. Like the stimulus checks. Remember, Black America actually did great. Oh, MAGA, under the stimulus checks. We'll see what these checks do to stimulate the economy. Make sense?
Funny, Biden didn't sign his check, so we don't get the credit for having done the same thing.
Yeah, he ended the
So let me get
stimulus
this right.
checks.
So he didn't sign them and take credit for them.
He ended the stimulus checks. That's the fact.
He what?
President Joe Biden ended the stimulus checks that Trump put
But
into.
I thought you said that you can't take away something from the American people once you gave it to them.
Biden did it, but it
Oh,
wasn't
oh,
Trump.
so it can be done
Trump.
as long as it's not
Yeah,
a
but
criminal in
Trump.
charge.
Oh God. Well, anything connected to Trump can do no good for these deranged people. So the media is at fault with education. How's that sound?
The checks were needed at the time. The American people accepted with no problem when they were taken away. Did they want more? Yes. But did they understand that that wasn't going to be forever? Yes. So your narrative that you can't give help to the people because they won't take accept it when you take it away, it's just been defeated by your own argument that Trump gave the checks before. So you can no longer use that argument. And you didn't say your state of affairs for the economy. You think it's going to get better.
Yes.
Wall Street has named this recession that we're in. Did you know that?
No. Please do tell.
They call it the Trump session.
Oh, wow. How cute.
Yeah, I thought it was stupid too. We're agreed. I agree with you. It sounds stupid, but it's so
Petty.
bad.
Sounds petty.
But these are the people that were MAGA supporters. These were his people that have now named it the Trump session. This isn't the Democrats. These were MAGA.
Okay.
So this is not Trump derangement syndrome, people hating Trump. These are people that were supporting Trump that understand numbers and math and looked and said, nah, this is all the stock market is taking a huge hit. AI is taking a huge hit because Trump is running his mouth saying things that don't make sense. And people are finally starting to see it. And it's hurting bad. And now Main Street and Wall Street were never connected under the Trump administration. Main Street did terrible while Wall Street did well. Now Wall Street's falling too. And Wall Street, who supported him the entire time because they were doing great, has now named it the Trump session, which again is a stupid name. But the fact that MAGA is now calling this recession his economy via the name Trump session and saying that we're in a recession by MAGA economists is telling. Or would you say no?
Well, again, the president has to deal back and forth because a lot of these businesses, like you said earlier, have to deal with the tariff war. And so those are things that they're taking to court over. So it is possible.
Well, the tariff war that he's now, the tariffs are going to come to an end. The judges, including Trump appointed judges, the very first thing a Trump appointed judge said that silenced the courtroom was tariffs are a tax. That was it. Trump appointed judge.
Okay.
The ruling against him at this point stands to be 9-0. Didn't he appoint 3 of these 9 judges?
On the Supreme Court?
Yes.
Yes, he did. Because
So,
Ruth Bader Ginsburg didn't want to retire early in order for, whatchamacallit, Obama to put a judge in at the time. So yes.
so it appears that even Trump appointed Supreme Court justices can't uphold this unlawfulness in good conscience.
Well, again, there's a lot of rhinos. During Trump's administration, they
Oh,
admitted,
wait. These guys that have been supporting him all along are now rhinos? Is that where we going with this?
yes, we have to.
Wow.
Because remember,
Mind
at the
blown.
time, Trump in the first administration didn't know what he was doing. He was listening to a lot of people. So he made a lot of mistakes. And he'll say it himself that he made a mistake when it comes to certain judges, political appointments overall, actually.
Thank you, Olivia. Well, Amel, it appears that the crisis of food stamps is coming to an end because the government is now back open. And we try to bring the heat beat. Thank you, Noah. We're trying because those are the people that matter. Like, we're trying. So, in essence, if judges that supported him the entire time, when all of the federal judges was against him, he could always go to the Supreme Court and get his wins. In essence, you're saying that these judges are now Republicans in name only and not really Trump supporters because they can't continue to support just how unlawful this man has become. Perhaps you do not know, but in the Constitution, I know that's a rag you got on your desk. You probably use it to wipe up your spilled milk. In the Constitution,
I do like my milk.
the Congress is the one who has the right to levy taxes. The Supreme Court cannot deny that tariffs are a tax. In plain English, what that means is the president doesn't have the right to place tariffs. Full stop. The president does not have the right to levy taxes. So, with that being stated, everything he did with tariffs was illegal.
Okay.
So, you want the judges to follow Trump and ignore the Constitution? And if not, they're rhinos? Is that what you're saying?
Well, doesn't mean they can't be rhinos in the first place. They hate Trump initially, but
They love Trump. That's why they got the job. They've been supporting him all along. Now, so anybody that turns against Trump is Marjorie Taylor Greene. They're evil now.
well, that's
Thank
that's
you,
another
Sophie. Thank
argument.
you, Logan.
That's another argument they're making right now too. But yes, when it comes to
We'll get
judges,
to MCG
remember
also.
he appointed them in his first administration. So
But they've supported him all along. They've supported him even when they should not have. Isn't like they stripped away DEI. They've supported all of his works. Why is it now that they're not going against the letter of the Constitution where it's undeniable that suddenly you're able to call them rhinos. Trump hasn't even done that.
Well,
Why is it you're so adherent to whatever that man says that anybody that goes against anything he does has to be something, they have to have something wrong with them?
let's just say Trump derangement comes in many shapes and forms. And there have been certain political appointments and other Republicans that are in Congress right now that hate Donald Trump and have to tolerate him. Because remember, there's a certain status quo that even Republicans want to maintain. And that's a fact.
Yes, Logan, food security should be a basic human right. That and shelter. People should not be on the street and hungry in the richest country in the history of the world. It's insane. Um, Dion. So, my definition of Trump derangement syndrome is when people are so obsessed with Trump that anything outside of what he says is evil. There's something wrong with that thought process. It's scary. It really is. It's troubling. It's OCD. It's not Trump derangement syndrome, but you can call it that because it's about Trump. But it's a fixation on a cult fictional character. I mean, when this man has defrauded that many people historically and that you know about, and yet you cling on his every word,
No,
and anybody that goes against it is wrong. You can't call people deranged because they don't trust the guy who's defrauded hundreds of people. You can't call somebody deranged when a jury of his peers have found him guilty, even though he had Todd Blanche defending him. Todd Blanche helped to pick the jurors.
boy, here you go.
Yes. Yeah, you don't want to. These are facts. His attorney helped pick the jurors that convicted him. The reason that his attorney had to settle on whatever jurors he had to have is because you could not find 12 jurors that were going to look at Trump and say he was innocent, and all you needed was one for a hung jury. All you needed was one guy to be like, nah, we like Trump so much that all you needed was one MAGA guy, and he'd have got off. But the facts, and I'm sure there was a couple of MAGA guys on that jury, but the facts were so oppressing that they could not, in good faith, say he was not guilty. That's what happened. And this is the guy that MAGA holds up like he's the God King. Like whatever he says and does is going to work. Our economy is in the toilet. He's he's talking about not listening to federal judges. He's the people that were supporting him in the economy are now calling it a Trump session. He's blocking the Epstein files. We know he's all over them. He's stripped away rights from so many people. He's calling for more violence by ICE when we're seeing, after talking directly in response to the fact that they're dragging out mothers from their mothers and American citizens. He's a monster. He's a monster. The things he's doing are unsettling. I am abhorred at the methodologies of ICE. If you was in the street, walking along, minding your business, and you saw somebody ram a car, and three masked guys jumped out, armed to the tooth, and start smashing the windshield to drag somebody out, I don't care what you say on this show, you would be in awe, in shock. You would not be able to believe what you were looking at. I don't care what you say on this show, because I happen to know you. You're actually a decent human being.
Yes, I am.
You're on this show saying that, you don't care, but this is what they're doing. And not only to immigrants, to anybody that looks Spanish. Many times they've taken out people that are actually American citizens. And you sat on this show and you said, so what? But that's not who you really are. That's not who you are. I know you. So I'm not understanding why you can look at this man do this in the media and it's okay. I don't get it. But thankfully, the federal judge, Karen J. Immergut, has barred the troops from Oregon, and they are no longer able to send in the National Guard. ICE is still there, but again, they said he broke posse comitatus. We spoke about that. I'm not a legal expert, but basically it means that you can't send in the troops to a city unless the official, the governor, the mayor of that city requests that the troops be sent in, except for under certain circumstances, which Trump has played around with but never done. So basically, once again, he's lawless. It's illegal that he's sending in the troops. And another federal judge has said, all right, nah, enough. We're done with this. We're not doing this no more. So I guess my question is at this point, White, is cult Kool-Aid? He's one of the most popular leaders of a cult. That's true.
Over 2.5 thousand people viewing. Thank you a lot, family. Good job.
Yes, thank you everybody for coming in. Even if it's really just because he's a personable. Well, Chrissy, here's the truth of the matter.
What about biggest?
Sociopaths don't have empathy by definition. That's the definition of the word.
Here we go.
When this man saw somebody while he was sleeping because of whatever mental issues he's having, I don't know if it's mental, physical, combination of both, that he was sleeping during the meeting during broad day, and he popped up awoke because somebody was passing out and they needed medical attention. He just looked away and looked at the camera. He didn't care. Everybody else in that room went to help.
Not Robert F. Kennedy Jr., but that's another story.
Right, not the guy in charge of health. God forbid he. So the guy in charge of health in Trump.
Dr. Oz is the only well, I should say it. Dr. Oz is the medical professional there. So
Trump couldn't even look. He didn't care.
oh boy.
Am I wrong? What did you see?
I saw just like somebody else, little daughter passed out at another event. The president reacted the way he should have and let the professionals handle the situation and just fall back.
He didn't seem to have much empathy for the person. Would you agree with that? He didn't look like he gave a flying F. Correct?
I don't know. I wasn't there. But we'll see.
He looked at the camera. You could see his face. That's what he looked. The person passed out. He looked at the camera.
They cut the feed before we could actually see what the president did the next 5 minutes after that. Maybe they escorted him out of the room. Who knows? What do you want?
Him looking at the camera to me looked as if he was more concerned on how it looked to the camera and the people looking at it through the screens that the camera fed to than he actually cared about what happened to the person. He looked like he cared more about the aesthetics.
Oh, God.
You did not see that? That's what I don't think many people have the wording to do this. Many people have tried to explain it that I've heard, but that is what it was. He was concerned about how it looked to people more than he was concerned about the person. That's what it appeared to be.
Trump being Trump. Remember, Trump is all about media and how to manipulate the situation to his favor. He knows how to deal with, optics, as it were, as they say in the political game.
Yes, he was concerned with the optics. So you agree. He was more concerned with the optics than the actual person.
Maybe. That's Trump.
That is a lack of empathy, and that is what sociopaths have.
And he's still the president, unfortunately, fortunately.
Well, here's the thing, because I was getting to what Chrissy said. Even it's really just because he's personable to some people. He's very popular.
Yeah.
Sociopaths have a lack of empathy, but something about the way their mind works makes it so that they have the ability to make people like them. That's what
Right.
they.
The dark triad. Look that up too, psychologically.
So he has this ability to draw a cult-like following, which is something that sociopaths are known for. And they happen to be great business people because they'll cut your throat and don't care about how it affects you because they don't care. Kind of like cutting 6 million kids off of food. If you want to bring in the other millions of people, the elderly and the veterans, and if you want to count all of them and bring them in, that's what he does. Medicare for all would be wonderful. Medicaid for everybody should have health care. Oh, let's take away health care. If they're dying in the streets, after we give them these thousands of dollars because nobody will take them because they have underlying conditions. So what? I'm able to get rich and feed my friends who's putting more money in my pocket. Lack of empathy. Let's sell energy to let's let these companies build coal plants that we know is polluting the environment so they can sell energy and get richer. Who cares about the environment? The environment is fake. Fake news, fake news. Coal doesn't hurt anybody. Lack of empathy. He doesn't care about anybody else as long as his pockets is getting fatter. Sounds like a sociopath, but I'm not a medical doctor.
Psychiatrist, how about that?
Well, psychiatrist is a medical doctor. It happens to be a doctor of the mind, but a psychologist is not a medical doctor. A psychiatrist is a medical doctor.
Let's just
They
say you're in no position to clinically diagnose anybody. We all agree.
Right. I am not in position to clinically diagnose, but I can read and use critical thinking. And I can't clinically diagnose somebody, but I can be like, yo, that thing look like, is that red? Yo, that's red. That's red. Now, I'm not a professional colorist. Professional colorist might say, well, actually, that's a shade of da 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 da. Or a painter might look and be like, nah, that's not actually red. It's, but it's red. It's red. It's red enough. Like, I mean, it might have a little pink in it. It might be a little, a little off shade, but it's red enough. It might be red brown if you got a crayon box. It's red. And he's a sociopath, even though he might be. I might be off. There's something wrong with that dude. He doesn't have empathy for people.
They still
I've
the
just given a
president.
million examples.
He's
How
still
about
the
all of the people
president.
he duped into his school? How about all the people he duped into his business school? Do you remember that?
This got nothing to do with what's going on in 2025. So
He settled that case right before he went into office during his first time because he was being sued by all them students that he duped. Do you recall? Like, this is his pattern. Like, as he was going into office, he had to settle cases of people that he was robbing. As he went into
and
office,
people voted for him again because this is part two. Are you praying for part three? I don't know, Leo.
okay, I'm just noting that he has a criminal past and 34 felonies was not even the beginning of the extent of his. How many people worked for him and never got paid? Like, yo, this dude is just not a good person. Like, he's just not a good person.
But the people voted for him not once but twice. So something has to be there.
Yes,
They
sociopaths
didn't
happen
like
to be
they didn't
very.
like the guy as a person, but we sure do like him, and we voted for him to be the president. And that's the point. You don't have to like the president in order to vote for him. See what I did there?
Yes, and that's why our economy's in the toilet right now. We're going through a Trump session. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene, the largest Trump supporter in the history of mankind, has had enough. People are turning on him left and right. Like, yo, if you listen to the people like that was MAGA, they don't even mention him anymore when they talk. He's becoming obscure. They know that he's on his last leg. Listen to them when they talk. You probably haven't done that. Listen to the pundits that were major MAGA. They're talking about JD Vance now. They're talking about other people now. They know that Trump is not going to be around very long. And they're fighting for position. They're jockeying for position.
Okay, that sounds fair for political theater purposes. Yes, that sounds good, Leo.
That's not how it sounds. I want you to actually check it out next time we talk. I want you to levy your opinion. I want you to weigh in on it because I know you haven't paid attention to it.
Well, the thing is, Marjorie Taylor Greene is going through her own problems, and this goes back to Tucker Carlson as well, and a lot of people on the right side that are America first and not Israel first, even though I shouldn't say that word, but that's why she's in hot water, and they're trying to, uh,
I thought it was because of the Affordable Care Act, because that's what she's been going on about, how her kids are going to be affected. So even though you're in denial, big Trump, the biggest Trump supporters, I would say bigger than you, in how they supported and how it affected their lives, can't even swallow the nonsense coming out of his mouth.
well, yeah, keep in mind, Leo, that the number one recipients of public assistance and food stamps are who?
ACA is not public
People.
assistance.
People. Well, remember, food stamps were cut off, the government shutdown, all that stuff she's speaking out against. So
She
that's
started with the Affordable Care Act way before any of that happened. She's been talking about the Affordable Care Act and how it personally affects her family. Maybe you don't listen to Marjorie Taylor Greene, but I listen to everybody, whether I disagree with them or agree with them, which is how I have informed opinions. I don't stay in a bubble.
well, the thing about it is again, Marjorie Taylor Greene's being ostracized by the Republican Party because she's America first. And this is one out of a few other issues that she's parted with the president on. Make sense?
I thought she was being ostracized because she turned on them, because their policies are so horrendous. And she sees, here's what I believe. I think the woman's just playing smart politics. I don't think she really cares. I think she sees what's coming and got ahead of it. And now other people are catching up, but she got ahead of it. I think that's really what happened. She looked and she was like, yo, these policies ain't gonna work. This is going in the toilet. Because if you paid attention to her, which you obviously did not, she spoke very badly about Congress, but always spoke positively about Trump until I think this weekend. She always said good stuff about Trump, but she went off on more on Mike Johnson. She went off
Yeah.
on the policies that the Congress did. She did not say a bad word about Trump. She always said nice things about Trump. I think she was playing politics and saw what was coming and got ahead of it. Like now everybody's doing it. Everybody's looking in. They're not talking bad about Trump, but they're moving on. Trump is falling apart. He's a sickly man. His mind isn't all the way together there. I mean, they're talking about Venus, something or another. Like, he had an MRI. Do you know what an MRI is?
Magnetic
Do you know
radio
what it's for? Resonance, whatever it is, imaging. What do you know what it does?
it scans like what's underneath, like if there's
Do you
any
know why they use it?
to see if there's anything wrong with you internally. That's the basics.
Have you ever had an MRI?
Yes.
No. Oh, what did you get it for?
I think I fell or something like that, or sprained something, and had to do an MRI and make sure everything was like, eh.
So if they're doing an MRI, this is not routine. There's something wrong. If they're lying about why they're doing the MRI, oh, it's just routine, which we know it's not true. You have to question why they're lying.
Okay, that's fair. Well, you see, the thing is, on this area, the blue team doesn't have a leg to stand on because of what they went through with Joe Biden. So anytime people talk about Donald Trump's health or mental hygiene, they can always deflect. Look what happened to Joe Biden. You look at Trump, we like Trump the way he is.
Some people would say that's hypocrisy. Look at Biden. We didn't like him, but it's okay for Trump. Some people will say that's hypocritical. But I'm not one to call names.
Yes, you are. But what do you call a moron, Mike Johnson? Speaker Mike
Oh, yeah,
Johnson.
that's true.
Okay.
Mike Johnson is an exception. He
See?
he's so bad. I have to name him. Like everybody names Mike Johnson something
And
because
you said
he's
something about
that
JD
bad.
Vance, dancing JD Vance, something like that. What did you say it
I
was?
didn't come up with that one.
I don't know. So more on Mike Johnson is you, all you. Okay.
Yeah, I had to name him. He's that bad.
He's not gonna be happy when he sees this.
Right, and I'm sure he's going to sit in the corner for 3 hours and come up with a response, and it's going to be something like, "That's mean."
He's too busy for any of this stuff, but okay.
Yes, because he gives press conferences every day, so that I know they should let the world know that the name is there for a reason. Do you think he's going to open up Congress now, bring people
Oh yeah,
back?
here we go. Time to inaugurate what's her name from New Mexico, right?
Adelita Garhava
Oh, I know you have no
from
idea.
not New Mexico. Why would you say that?
Arizona?
Indeed.
I was get them mixed up. Sorry, I'm not a racist because I'm black.
So, do you think that they're out of excuses? I know Trump has been. So, do you think he's gonna call back the House of Representatives and Ms. Grahava is going to be sworn in, or do you think he's going to try to come up with a new excuse?
I think that he will call the House back in order now that the Senate has finished its business. But then again, remember, it's holiday season now, so they could try to coast until January and not do anything, if that's a political calendar.
Marjorie Taylor Greene is certainly going to be happy about it. She's been frustrated with Congress being closed, with the House being closed. She wants to get back to work. So what do you think? What do you think of Marjorie Taylor Greene giving her honest opinion?
I think that it's about time that we see that there's discourse on the right side while being civil and not turning on each other. And I think it's good because she expresses a lot of things that are in the America First movement and oh, excuse me, that need to come to the forefront, especially when it
So
comes
apparently you
to
haven't paid attention to what they were saying about JD Vance's wife.
yes,
You
I
don't
have.
know how bad it's
They want to
gotten.
convert her to Christianity, and he actually said that. I think what's going on? A turning point. It was a turning point event coming up, or was that a CPAC? Well, anyway, it was like a conservative conference that JD Vance said that he would like to see his wife convert to Christianity
Why did he say that?
because she's Hindi, I think,
Could it
and
be the
lead
pressure
by
that he's
example.
facing from his party, his
Well,
racist party?
well, that too. But again, lead by example. If you want to have Judeo-Christian, then you have to have a Judeo-Christian family to lead by example. And Republicans are very big on that.
Right. Republicans are you have to be Christian. So in a country where there's supposed to be separation of church and state, MAGA is once again against the Constitution. What do you want me to say?
I think you got to read what the Federalist Papers, something like that. Whatever those sidebars that Alexander Hamilton and Benjamin Franklin and the rest of the gang had when they were putting this document together to see what they say in there, because that's what they usually do. Like if it's a Judeo-Christian and stuff. I don't know.
I would have thought that they were against the separation of church and state was something that was, since it's constitutional. I don't know. Maybe people don't believe in the Constitution anymore. Trump certainly doesn't. He doesn't even want to listen to federal judges. JD Vance doesn't want to listen to first federal judges. I think that is the scary. I think out of everything that happened, the fact that people are okay with JD Vance outright saying that the president should not listen to the courts is the biggest problem. That's a co-equal branch of the government until it's not, which is the definition of constitutional crisis. Since the very beginning, I've said he's going to ignore court orders, have I not? One of my predictions.
Well, it came true, but again, we're
Of
seeing
course it did.
everything
I'm
play
never
out.
wrong.
I don't know about that, Jesus, but still, we'll see.
See, got to go back to Jesus with you. Well, with Trump, it's very easy to predict. He's about criminality. He's about a power grab. That's basically what he stands for. So all you got to do is use a little deductive reasoning and say what is going to get him there the fastest. That is the route he's going to take. It's not complicated. Only if you're not looking at it through that lens does it become a more difficult thing to predict. Once you have, here's the thing I've always decided, always thought. If I know what motivates you, I know I can predict what you're going to do. It's when I don't know what's motivating you that I can't predict what you're going to do. Trump is obviously motivated by power and greed. It's very easy to figure out what he's going to do next. It really is. I don't. You don't seem to agree with that.
No, it's probably true, but again, in a political context, he's out of his element. This is not business, this is politics, and he has to have some concessions. So certain things are unpredictable. Like I didn't predict that he would keep the Ukraine war going this long, for example. I thought he was not going
I
to stop.
did. He's supporting Russia. Russia wants all of Ukraine. He wants to be like Russia. He wants to be like Putin. So you don't see that because you're in the bubble. But you step outside the bubble and just take a look at the big picture and just really look unbiased. And it's like, he's not going to turn on Putin. He's not going to, he'll play a certain amount of the game. Like right now, he's like, yeah, we want to put sanctions on Russia. This is like the third or fourth time since he's been in office. He's only been in office 10 months. He said that. It's the same song. He didn't even change the tune. It's an A minor. A minor. Because, that thing. Get it? Guess you didn't.
But don't chink.
It was a diss track on Drake. Anyway, those of y'all who got it, you got it. So it appears through basic observation that he's going to try and force. I don't know. When Zelensky came the first time, he berated Zelensky, but he rolled out the red carpet for Putin. I mean, when you just take a look at the basics as you observe the optics, and just look, it's real obvious what's going to happen. It's not complicated. My dude rolled out the red carpet for the guy who started the war, and him and JD Vance jumped on the guy who's trying to defend his people. What do you think is in you? And how could you come up with anything but he's behind Putin? Like he literally rolled out the red carpet for somebody who could go most places in the world and would get arrested because he's a war criminal.
Well, that's not entirely true because we're still supporting Ukraine. That's a fact. But
Those are optics. He's supporting Ukraine, but what did he do? He said, yes, we're behind Ukraine, but don't you dare use weapons inside of Russia. We got you these weapons, but you can't go inside of Russia with them. Okay, here's the thing, right? Let's settle the war. Let's settle the war. I want to see the war coming to an end. Just give all of the stuff, give all of the areas that Putin conquered to Putin and the war's over. That's literally what he said. This, if that's supporting Ukraine, then Ukraine don't need enemies. He did everything but point guns at them. And that's because he can't do it and the American people support it. He's trying to figure out how to do it. He's trying to figure out a way to make Zelensky the bad guy where he can support Russia. That's what he's trying to do. Or that's what it looks like. And I haven't been wrong very many times on Trump. But even though he can't do it, he's giving them weapons and he's not letting them use them. What sense does it have to have drones that you can't use? You can bomb the tanks once they get inside of your territory. That's not useful.
well, I don't know, but that's the area where I kind of part ways with the president. But we're still supporting Ukraine because we're already stuck in this mess. And like I said on the show before, well, I might be right, is where President Trump doesn't understand warfare, military conflicts, but he's doing the best he can.
Seems like he understands to me. He's backing Israel. He's attacked Iran. He's rolling out the red carpet for Putin. Seems like he's very, after 5 years as the most powerful politician in the world, I think he kind of got it. Maybe you think he's stupid. I think this is all part of his 3D chess game, and in the end, all he wants to do is be a dictator.
He is playing 3D chess because we have the Democrats voting to open the government. And the New York Times themselves sound pretty salty in their title, defectors. They're calling these Democrats defectors for opening up the government. New York Times. Let's see.
Please share because we're coming to the end of the hour. It's got to be 10 o'clock. It's 10:15.
I guess I could shut this. I mean, should share this. Can I share this? No, I can't share this, unfortunately.
You can't? Oh, it's not. I thought it was. There you go. My apologies.
All right, well. So if you go to Microsoft Bing as your search engine provider, And you see the New York Times Democratic defectors were lent on shutdown, backing bill to reopen. Duh, duh, duh. Looks like the Democrats have caved. Leo, what do you got to say now? Trump major victory over Democrats as government shutdown ends after 40 days. Who knew the Democrats would cave? Well, that's enough for our episode, man. Thank you for doing this game. Goodbye.
Ah, you gotta read the fine print.
Duh, 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 duh.
Did they cave? They said they wanted the extensions of the Affordable Care Act extended, and that's all they were looking for. That's not the only concession they got. They also got other things on top of that. So if they caved by giving in what they wanted, I'd cave every goddamn time. I'm a cave because you gave me what I wanted. I'm caving.
My point is this: why would the New York Times call them defectors? Hmm?
You're right. Why would they call them defectors? They literally got what they wanted.
Ugh.
They literally got what they wanted. They got the Affordable Care Act extended till the end of the year, and they said we'll revisit it at the end of the year when we got to talk about the budget again. So they'll go back into negotiations, and if the Republicans are still playing the game, the government shuts down again. But in order to get the government open, they got what they asked for. They got what they asked for. That the Republicans staunchly refused to give them at first, which was whatever it was, $1 trillion to extend it to the end of the year. You don't remember hearing that the entire time? They got what they wanted. The Democrats won. That's what happened. The Democrats got what they wanted. They won. Go ahead and read. I did my research before we got on. You didn't have time. They got the extension. They
I'm still
won.
reading from it myself. What so far? They voted in favor, so all it took was a
Yes, they won. Hell yeah. Let's get this government open. Now, let's get Adelita Grahava sworn in now that we got the Affordable Care Act extended. Let's go. This is perfect. The Democrats are standing up and winning. Thank God. Let's go. They're winning. I'm out of tea.
oh wow, you're out tea, okay.
They won.
Well, we all won as Americans. How's that sound?
I agree. I
Oh, now
agree.
I know what I was looking for. One second. I'm just gonna make sure I get this right before I say it. Because I know it happened today. Yes. So by the time you see this episode in the future, I was gonna say it right now, for thank Leo for his service because on November 11th it's Veterans Day. That's what I was looking for. This Tuesday is Veterans Day. Thank all of our soldiers like Leo that was in the trenches like this, fighting for the country.
I didn't have to, I was in the Navy. I did not have
He
to
was a
get in the
Navy. So,
trenches.
you know,
Uh,
he was not just kidding, Leo.
Not actually, as the unit I was in, we dealt with the Marines, so it was a little something. But
It's beef.
I'm happy to, I'm very, very happy to have the government opening back up.
Would you
You're
do it
right.
again,
We all,
Leo? Would you serve Uncle Sam again? Huh? If you had it all do over again?
not under Trump.
He's your commander in chief, whether you like it or not. So if he reactivated you right now and said, Leo, time to go back to work for Uncle Sam.
I think I might have to do what Muhammad Ali did.
Oh God, here we go.
Or I might have to do what Trump did. I got an injury. I can't.
Let me get these comments. Let me get these comments. Let's see.
Nothing new came out. I would have to do what Trump himself did. I can't do it. My leg. I got a heel spur.
Thank you for your service, Leo. You
Because,
serve the
Trump's a
president no
punk.
matter who it is.
Oh my God, somebody passed out. I can't even look.
Oh, God.
If that had happened and I was there, I'd have rushed over. Because I'm not a punk like that. I wanted to know,
Your
how can
training
I
would have kicked
help?
in? Your Navy training would have kicked in?
My
Yeah.
humanity would have kicked in.
Uh-huh.
What would you have done?
I don't know. I wasn't there. That's what the thing in the
What would
creek
you do if somebody passed out and you were standing there?
with all those people with the cameras rolling. Stop, tuck and roll, maybe? Is that what you're supposed to do? Let the professionals do it. Look at Dr. Oz and say, hey, Dr. Oz, you're a doctor. Look over there.
So you wouldn't have turned away and pretended like it wasn't happening. You would have actually paid attention. Maybe you could be of some sort of help, even if you were just standing on the side where the doctor might have said, "Bring me some water."
Maybe my hood instincts would have kicked in. I was just minding my business.
Well, for those of us with humanity,
Yeah, right. You see, you got the training to say that, Leo. You can say that because you got the basic training necessary to say that. But me, I'm a civilian. And there's something called liability. Even on the subway, mind your business.
well, anybody with CPR training, and in my state to be a teacher, I had to be CPR trained.
Me too.
Oh, so then you would not have just turned away like you didn't know what you were doing because you were trained to help.
When you have a doctor in the room, Oz,
You
you got to
still
defer to
would,
that man.
like, he can't do, he's only got two hands. And he might need, I don't know, a freaking defibrillator. He might need help.
Defibrillator. AED, Leo.
So he might have needed assistance. And that is where you can come in. And that is anybody with training would know.
This man
Right,
had
Dion?
cameras rolling, he had staffers there, and he had doctors there. What do you want the man to do? Put on a cape, run to the phone booth? No, Trump can't do anything right for this public. That's why Trump arrangement
That
is.
man looked at the cameras like, oh my God, what is the public thinking? And that's all that he cared about. That's all that he cared about. Oh, there's Crizzy. Someone passed out next to me while waiting for my schedule in high school. I looked around for help. You didn't just stand there and look away and
What do you want
pretend
from
like it
this
didn't
man?
happen.
What do you want from this man? What do you want from this man? He does anything, and the whole world will turn against him. That's the fact.
I want him to do some like I'm gonna bring one other thing up since we're talking about it. What I want from him, I'll answer that. I want him to stop lying about everything. This dude is bombing, invading a country, Venezuela. He's bombing ships around the area. Like, how many ships has he bombed? That's not even from that country. He just hitting everything in that area because they're bringing drugs across the border. But the border is supposed to be 100% closed. So they're bringing drugs through a border that nobody's getting through. And that's why he's invading the country. I want the man to stop lying about everything.
That's not happening. Just like the rest
I
of the
know.
politicians.
Well, you asked what I wanted, and I gave you an answer.
Month and a half till Christmas. A month and a half till Christmas, everybody.
Yeah. Well, you call it TDS. I call it an affliction for honesty. I do not like it when people lie to me. Now, something I do have is I have trust issues. Once you start lying to me, I won't trust you. And that's in my personal life. It's not just like I go by people, like when people start doing stuff and I can't trust them, it brings out like I turn into a different person towards them. I can't trust you. I can't mess with people I can't trust. In my personal life, if my girl starts cheating or starts lying to me, I don't think she's cheating.
Oh
She's
God.
lying. I have trust issues. If I'm trying to do business with somebody and they lying to me, I ain't gonna want to do business with them. I got trust issues. Like, why would I want to deal with somebody I can't trust? So, if the president is lying, I'm gonna expect him to be a liar. I'm expecting to do things that are not right, that are dishonest. Liars, if you'll lie to me, you'll steal from me. Ever heard that?
Yes, but sometimes that's not often the case, but still.
Sometimes that's not often the case. Wow, that's a sentence. It's often the case. Somebody who's untrustworthy is untrustworthy. And if you haven't gotten to that point in life where you found that out to be true yet, keep living. That's not, you just, it comes with a certain amount of experience that you start to understand why these old sayings exist. it's you get to a certain point of experience and you're like, there's patterns. Being able to detect these patterns is the definition of IQ. Let's take Donald Trump, for instance. He says that if Miss Crockett took the IQ test that he took, she wouldn't be able to get past the questions. This woman is a brilliant attorney. For him to even say that, there's got to be something wrong with him. Like, you're attacking a brilliant attorney's intellect. Jasmine Crockett's brilliant, bro. Now, Trump is brilliant in his own right, or his mental decline was standing. Trump is brilliant in his own right. I don't know how brilliant he is with his mental decline, with the misinformation, but up until his mental decline started, the man is pure genius. That is the reason he's the president. Now, evil genius, I hold to that, but I would never take away his IQ. I would say that he's evil, but I would not. And people that don't understand his genius don't understand that the reason he wants to get rid of his plan was to hold the government in position long enough to get rid of the filibuster so that he could change the political law so he could stay in office. The filibuster was about staying in office. But people that are playing checkers are not watching the 3D chess. That's why he's been going hard at the filibuster. He didn't want the government open. He's not going to agree to ACA subsidies so that the government closes back down because he wants that filibuster taken away. That is not something he just came up with. This is a plan so that he can remain in power. Mark my words. Maybe I'll be wrong for once. Maybe the sky will fall down. Who knows?
Anything's possible in America, but he's still the president. And the government is going to be reopening soon, and we can move on with our lives. Hopefully. Ooh,
All right. Well, it looks like you're suffering over there. I'm going to let you go. I want to thank everybody for coming. And we'll see you next week. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. We have a members only section. You can get content that you can't get no place else, and you can get content ahead of everybody else because we release it immediately, even if it's not going to be seen by others till far later. You can get it while it's still relevant if it's, breaking news. So please show your support. It means a lot to the channel. We're really just getting going as far as I've been pushing the shit on myself. I've been coming out of pocket. I'm not even supposed to say this, but I'm down thousands of dollars here, and I could really use some help trying to keep this going for you guys, trying to continue to build this community. Anyway, this is Leo and Dion. Dion, any closing?
Yes, remember this Tuesday and beyond. Think of that, like Leo, who put it all on the line. People like you to the plane.
And he didn't say it's normal, so we are the news, and now so are you.
Yeah.
I was waiting on that when I gave it to him, but he ain't taking it. But that's all right.
Veterans Day.